holding on with your right hand, swing your left leg forward and backwards, okay? So what we're trying to do here is just warm up your hip joint. And what I want you to do is try not to arch your lower back, okay? And what you feel is a slight loosening of your muscles down the back of your thigh and muscles down the front. Okay, we're just trying to loosen and warm those up. Okay, and then what I want you to do is take your leg and swing it left to right across your body. Going left to right. Okay, and then from there, what I want you to do is swap hands and swap legs. So now I want you to stand on your left leg, hold on with your left hand, swing your right leg forward and backwards. And then take your leg across your body. It's going left to right again. It's trying to loosen out the inside of your thigh and the outside of your thigh. And then what I want you guys to do from there is stand with your feet over hip width apart. Okay, so you're in a sort of triangle pose, and take your right hand down to your left foot and then your left hand down to your right. So you're sort of swapping over, you're helicoptering around. So you'll be feeling a stretch down the inside of your legs, okay? And a slight pull down the back of your thigh. We're trying to loosen the base of your spine as well as loosening down the back of your legs. And then what I want you guys to do is to have your one hand down to the floor in between your feet, one hand up to the sky, and rotate round from the base of your spine. So bend your knees on this so that you only feel a slight pull down your hamstring. But what we're doing here, the main thing we're trying to warm up is the base of that lower spine, okay? So you should sort of be helicoptering around, okay? All right, well done, guys, and bring yourselves up from there. And then ever so gently, just go up and down on your toes to warm up your calves a little bit. And then let's get back into jogging. And whilst we were doing that last bit, luckily, Helen's managed to dial in. Otherwise, some of you would be getting a double whammy this morning and this evening. So Helen, if you'd like to unmute yourself. And so guys, so Helen is a guest that I've chosen to come and join us this morning. So she's a runner, so we'll be talking a little bit about her running journey. So you guys can sort of pick up some nuggets from your own training, but she's also a prolific business coach. She's very interested in the psychology of people and what you need to do to create success. And so we'll be going into a bit about how you can set yourself up each week for a bit of success. Now, for any of you who are new, what we're doing is I want you to be an effort of about 6 or 7 out of 10. Okay, so this is a nice steady chatty run. So as if you were with Helen and me, you could be chatting away with us. Helen and I are connected virtually. She's running wherever in the world she is at the moment. And I'm running from my home. But you should be running at about a pace where it's super, super easy, okay? A lot of people do their easy runs too hard. And their hard runs too easy. If you get that bit right, all your running will change. But anyway, first of all, Helen, welcome. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, good morning everybody. Morning, Chrissie. How are you doing?
Yeah, good. So I'm just running past a deer who's eyeballing me. Yeah, so what I wanted to start off with you is talk to us. Start off with, like, how did you get into running? How old were you? What prompted you starting? Talk us through that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, Chrissie, thanks a million for having me. It's lovely to be part of this run group on a Monday morning. No better way to start the week. I got started, I guess, running when I was about age of 15. Now, before that, I used to play lots of team sports, things like camogie, basketball, hockey, you name it. I did that kind of team sport.
I'm just going to pause you there. For anyone who doesn't know, camogie, you're from Ireland originally. I
I am
didn't hear the
indeed.
second
Sorry,
sport
that's
you
very
said.
right. You're right. Yeah, it's
Just depends
an
on your.
Irish sport. It's a little bit between hockey and lacrosse, and people say there are
Okay.
no rules in it, but I can assure you there are rules. But
Brilliant.
actually, the reason it was really strange because I moved to I left Ireland when I was 15 to move to London, and at the time my kind of world had ended as I knew it,
Yeah.
and I couldn't play any kind of team sports at the time. And so what I could do was to get out there and go for runs. And Chrissy,
Yeah.
so that's where it all started. I started age 15. I was kind of like this teenager that didn't want to be in London at the time, didn't want to leave
Right. Yeah.
Ireland,
That's
and
tough.
I found running as my solace.
Yeah. And so you were already in sort of a sporting world, and I guess my guess is that you'd already realised what sort of sport gave to you psychologically, and you still need to continue that kind of almost escapism that it gives you.
Well, do you know what, Chrissy? I didn't realize at the time I was 15. I just loved sport. And
Okay.
so I didn't realize the whole psychology elements of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I loved the way that it made me feel, you know?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I probably, it's funny, as we get, I think possibly as the world has changed on identifying mental health more, we talk about, you know, how it helps with people's mental health, whereas before it's just like, well, I just enjoy it. So talk us through a little bit about, talk us through one of your favourite runs, and why was it a run that stands out in your memory, and why was that one for you?
Yeah, well, I think a couple of things. The whole psychology element of, you're absolutely right. I mean, now as I got older, I realized just how important running was for my whole mental health and my well-being, and how it would set me up. You know, and I tell you what, I recently wrote a piece around running my best friend in life, and in lockdown, because in lockdown that's kind of all I had. So it's absolutely essential. I run, you know, 4 or 5 times a week, and absolutely fuels my kind of health and well-being as well. But yeah, my favorite run, I think it was about 5 years ago. I mean, I have lots of favorite runs, by the way. My favorite run is by the beach in it's called Carriclow. It's in Wexford, and it's just a long beach, and you can run for miles. But my favorite run as a team run was about 5 years ago, where I encouraged about 10 people. It was 10 of us. I encouraged 9 others to run a marathon with me in aid
Amazing.
of a charity. And it was phenomenal because many of those people had never run a marathon before, and so I got them, inspired them to get involved, and we did some training together. And on the marathon race day itself, everybody kind of waited at the finish line and clapped people along, and it was just brilliant. I love the camaraderie of it. And it was lovely to see so many people, you know, realize a dream. They'd never felt that they could run a marathon, and they did. You know, so it was awesome. It was one of the best runs.
Yeah, actually, for you, how many marathons have you run now?
I've done 8 marathons, plus probably about 9 or 10 team marathons as well. So yeah,
quite a seasoned.
And hundreds of half marathons. But no, I've got 2 more. I've got 2 more marathons left in the legs, and I want to go to New York and Rome to finish off my perfect 10.
Okay. So that's the ambition, is to get the 10. And when you think, like, for some of the guys who are on the call, I certainly know that some of them with us, they're all at different stages in their running journey, but for some, never done a marathon, and I know 1 or 2 are looking at doing their first. What can you remember your training for your first one, and sort of what you did, what you would advise others to do in their running?
Yeah, I think, Chrissy, the first thing is, for me with my first one, I winged it a bit because I didn't really have a plan around training. I just thought, oh, sure, I'll go and I'll do a couple of long runs, I'll do a bit of preparation. But actually, I realized that when I was doing the marathon, I could have done more. So then after the first one, I realized, actually, the first thing is you need to build a plan. You need to get a plan together. You need to have a structured regime, and you need to put in the miles. So I think that's kind of what I've learned over the time. And I guess for me, I do a lot of my training off-road because it helps with knees. So I'll go on trails like by the river there in Richmond, or off trails in the countryside or on the beach, because I find for me that helps to keep my joints in a good shape. So and then yes, some road training, but not loads of, and then I'll run on the grass as well. But yeah, I think it's a few things I've learned. A couple of tips would be, number one, when you start off in a marathon and you get going for the first time, don't go off too quickly, because again, I've done that before where I've run off and done a really fast mile or fast few miles, and you can burn out really quickly. In terms of the training, build a regime, get a plan, get a buddy as well. Eat well, sleep well, and listen to your body. Again, when I was younger and in the earlier days of my running, I wouldn't listen to my body. I would keep going regardless if I had shin splints, if I had pains, if I I would push through. But actually, Chrissie, I was doing myself the disservice because it would put me out of running for longer. So,
very much so.
The kind of key things.
Yeah, as soon as it is one of those things, when you feel a niggle, it's just a sign that something's not landing how your body will quite land it to. And if you address it there and then, you can fix it relatively quickly rather than compounding a problem. Very, very true. And I guess, and also touching on your point about running on the trails, what that's done for your knees. So, guys, were there a lot of, personally, I actually only run on the road, and I've managed to keep myself injury free, but I do a lot of work around it. But the trail running and off-road running, where it's so good is your ankle is moving all over the place, moving left and right. You're having to deal with all the undulations in the road or path that you're on, and that just strengthens your ankle, as long as you do it at the right pace for yourself. And it's also, for me, I don't think there is a rule book. You have to experiment, but commit to a good experiment to find out what works for you, sort of thing. So what I was, so I'm sure that you've had many years of running on your legs. What keeps you motivated and inspired now? Or do you have a person who inspires you?
I don't know if I necessarily have a person that inspires me, but I just love I love being outdoors, Chrissie. I love the feeling that a run gives. When I go out for my runs, it's my alone time. I usually leave my electronics. It's me, it's nature, and I love that feeling. I tell you, I come up with my best ideas. When I've had some losses, I go on my runs and I feel so much better about things. Or if I'm, whatever kind of feeling I'm going through, running is just the best feeling for me. And I love, some of my best business ideas that I have, I've landed on my runs. Or I don't know, if I've had some difficulties or having a challenge about something, again, I'll land that on my running. So I love that kind of being out in nature, being at one, pushing my body a little bit, and just the feeling, the endorphin rush that I get from it. So I don't think anyone inspires me per se to get out there and run. I just love the feeling of it, and I love the way that it keeps me fresh, it keeps me alert, and it keeps me on my game. I feel,
I think that's true for an awful lot of people. It's the running does so much. There is the whole runner's high thing, but I'm in a similar boat to you. So you just feel that much more focused. Your brains, I used to talk to my beginners about this. For those of you who don't know, I used to have a beginner group, and it's like, when you run, there is so much going on. Like, if you're out in nature, you're absorbing all that information, but also you think about what your body's doing versus when you sit down, you're asking your knees to come up, your feet to move differently, your heart to beat at a different rate, and to regulate your temperature. And there's so much going on that I think that because of that, your brain then can't deal with the nonsense that it has going on in it. It's only got space for the sensible stuff. It's the way I sort of think about it. There is no science behind that whatsoever, just Chrissie science. For any of you who are doing it there and back, we're just over halfway, so do turn around and send yourselves back in the other way. So your world outside of running, talk us through that. You run your own business. Talk us through a little bit about that. How did that start? What do you do?
It's interesting that you say that too. I was thinking about that the other day. I started my first business after my first marathon, and it was really interesting. So I did my first marathon at 24, and I ran that marathon. It was in London, and I thought at that point, when I did it, and it was really interesting for my psychology. When I did that marathon, I thought, you know what? I've done that. I actually believed at that point that I could do anything. And anyway, I'd always been thinking about starting a business for myself, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Literally packed up my car. A month later, I packed up my car with whatever I could fit into it, and I drove over to Dublin on a Saturday, and I got started in my own business on the Monday. So yeah, I'm an entrepreneur.
Oh, wow.
I set up my first business about 20 years ago, and have gone on to set up multiple businesses since then. And in the last 11 years, I've devoted a lot of my time helping other people to start up and grow their business, help them to create the life that they want by giving them tools to help them to start grow a successful business. And that's what I do. That's what I love. And I work with people from all walks of life in every imaginable industry, and and help their dream come true in their business.
Very cool. It's very cool. And guys, for any of you who don't know, so obviously my business is running and coaching running, and this is how I know Helen, through the work she does with startup businesses, because mine is sort of post-hip, is 2.5 years in to what I'm doing, and it's such a different journey from the corporate journey. So having people like Helen, obviously I coach, and because it's so useful to have someone to steer you in the right direction, who knows, who's been through all your journey, can answer all your questions. And also there's also, I think, in all aspects of life where that when you, like you were saying with your marathon, you felt like you could conquer the world. That is so important, that conviction and self-belief in pretty much anything you do. And it's when that belief wavers, like they talk about for marathon entrants, something like 40% of the field don't turn up. And obviously, some of them will be down to extraordinary circumstances, but the majority will be down to preventative things like injuries and the mental state. An awful lot of
It's interesting that you say that, because with the marathon that I did in Brighton with the team of 10, I think I said that to you earlier. That evening we went out. We were walking like John Wayne, and it was in Brighton. We walked out for dinner, and a number of the girls that ran that marathon said to me that night, and independently, they didn't say it, together. It was like independently at different points.
Yeah. Oh, Helen, we're losing your sound a second. Say that again.
They said, "Thank you so much for inspiring me to do that marathon. I didn't believe I could, so therefore I was never going to do it." And I said to them, "Guys, think about this." And I said this independently to each of them. Think about what you haven't done to date because you didn't think you could do it.
Oh, it's huge, yeah.
For it. And so it was an amazing kind of piece for them, that they realized, actually, there's so many things I didn't do because I didn't think I could do it, but actually I didn't try. And now they've proved to themselves they could do this, and it means they could do anything, So
yes.
I loved that piece for them.
Yeah, and it's funny, I think a couple of the other guys that I've spoken to, they say that, certainly it did work for me as well, with running each sort of little hurdle that you overcome, each extra mile that you battle through where you thought you would have given up, you then take that it adds to your mental armory in other aspects. And it, again, like you were saying, it opens your mind on, this is possible.
you're right, and it's about small steps. Because if you think you're going to go and climb that mountain in one go, you're going to give up before you even try. Whereas actually, if you start with small steps, you're going to be able to create, you know, whatever you want in your life, in your business, in your personal life, in your running, in whatever aspect of. So it's the small steps, and then taking daily action on those small steps, and that will make a big difference, you know?
Yeah, completely. So I guess actually, I was going to finish with this question, but I'll ask it to you now. One thing I was keen to gauge from you, because you've studied a lot on human psychology and how you can create success. What 3 tips would you give your guys, all the guys listening on, okay, it's Monday, it's the start of the week. 3 tips you would give them to set up their week successfully?
Well, I think there's a couple of things. I mean, I love talking about this, Chrissie, as you probably know. I've studied billionaires, multimillionaires, successful sports stars, scientists, people in education, you name it. The first thing is, you've got to believe you can. If you don't believe you can, you won't. If you believe you can, you will. And it starts and ends with that. So, you know, belief is everything. And you need to have small wins every day and in the weeks that come along to help to shore up your belief in yourself. And if you believe you can, you'll take whatever action you can take to make that happen.
And it's also, I think, with the belief thing, if any of you listening is like, oh, it's all well and good, but how do I magic belief? I mean, have the right people around you to help you understand that you can do that. I'm one of the guys that I was talking to, so we have weekly catch-up calls, and one of the guys who was on there has had a bad couple of weeks, been away, habits falling apart, and was just like, oh, just got to the point where I can't do this. And then we just changed her belief system in what she was capable, what she has been doing, and reinforced that positive on, right, okay, look how far you've come and look what you've done. And then, you know, just grounding on back on, you can do this. And
I think, Chrissie, to add to that as well, it's thinking about the thoughts that you're thinking about yourself and the stories that you're telling. Are you telling yourself that you start and then you quit? Are you telling yourself that you're not good enough? Are you telling yourself that you could never run a marathon, you could never start a business? What are you telling yourself? What kind of stories are going on and looping in your mind continuously? And you need to look at those and replace those stories that don't serve you with stories that do. You know, and I think that will make a massive difference as well.
Yes, it is. It's having that.
I think the second piece as well, so the second piece of advice I'd give for anybody in their week, in their training, in their business, in their careers, in whatever aspect of their life, is planning. You know, planning is massive. We've got 24 hours in a day, and you know, lots of people say, Helen, I don't get time to run, or I don't get time to have any personal time, or I don't get time. Everybody has time. You know, we all have the same time every day, and yes, I know we've got different things that are pulling out our time, but we can plan and manage our time. So I would say anybody starting a week, you know, Sunday night, I always spend time thinking about my week and planning it. What does it look like? And Chrissie, you know, the way that I make sure that I get my runs in and I get my personal is I put them in my diary, honestly. And I plan and protect my time. But more so I'm planning, it's not just about running, it's about what things can you work on this week and this day and this hour that will make the biggest difference in your life, in your business, in your running, or whatever you want to focus on. And then plan it and then break it down into the small tasks. So what tasks then do you need to work on that's going to help you to achieve these goals this week, this month, this year? Does that make sense? Planning and plan effectively and work on the things that are going to make the biggest difference to your business or to your life or whatever aspect you are, whatever you're on.
Completely. And also it's that the whole thing where if you plan for things, you might not stick 100% to that plan, but you're going to, in all likelihood, you're going to be a hell of a lot further ahead than if you didn't have a plan at all. You know, if you're just sort of drifting along, you'll sort of nibble at everything. And you're like, one of the things that, you know, and then it's like, right, if you're not sticking to that plan, was that plan real? Okay, so next week, learn from it. Yeah, very true. Very, very true.
And it's also the piece as well, when you actually work on a plan, like you set yourself some goals or some tasks and you work on those, and then when you actually achieve them at the end of the day, at the end of the week, you're ticking them off, and it's kind of like setting yourself up for this momentum of success. You get into this kind of momentum, you become unstoppable. It's a little bit like an airplane on a runway, where it's starting off slowly, and building and building and building and building, and then you're ready to literally launch and take off. Because that's where you're going to get to, by setting yourself up with these tasks, with these, and you're ticking them off, you're getting these wins, and then you become unstoppable, and you create that momentum that you want in whatever area of your life you're working on.
Yes, completely. And that's the other sort of, I think, important thing that people don't do enough of, is acknowledging that success. And you know, if you're always looking at your to-do list and not taking account of the I've done, whether it is in sport, business, what have you, you're always going to see that you've got so much further to go, rather than acknowledging that, oh, yeah, I'm sure you do it with some of your guys, I certainly do it with mine, is part of it is the accountability to make people realise, oh, yes, I'm making positive steps and doing positive things, like you say, to get that forward momentum. Because sometimes that, just doing it all on your own, is hard work.
It is.
So,
and then the third thing, sorry, Chrissy, and then the third thing I was going to say is, you know, what's your big why? You know, what's your why right now doing what you're doing? So, you know, in your business, in your running, in your relationships, what's your why? What's the big picture here? What are you working toward? What do you want to create? Because here's the thing, in life, we can create anything that we want in our life. It's up to us. We're the artist. We've got the blank canvas, and we can create whatever we want to create. So it's thinking about the bigger picture and what you're doing and why you're doing it. And I think once you're clear on your purpose, then you can get clear on your mission. And then you can break them down into those tasks, or those goals, and then those tasks and those priorities from there. And then take action on all of those.
It's also, if you understand your why, when there are days where you don't want to do stuff, but it's boring, you don't feel like it, when you've got the why to come back to, and it doesn't have to be, in my mind, it doesn't have to be something monumental. It can be, you know, like for some of the guys that I coach, when we've got to the very honest point, they're like, I don't want to look stupid on the start line. Okay, cool. Yeah, and that's a strong enough motivator to keep them, right, you know, I want to feel ready on that start line. I want to feel strong, fit, what have you. And, you know, everyone's got their personal, and it is very personal. Like, don't try and copy someone else's. But it does, you've got to have that thing for when you don't want to do it, what's going to kick you into gear.
Absolutely, and especially, Chrissy, I find that when things are working out well in life, where things are kind of, you know, on track, it's easier to take action. It's when things aren't working so well and you've hit a bump in the road and you're not in a great space, your big why will help you to take the action that you need to be able to create, you know, what it is you want, you know. So it's that piece which is massive. And like, you know, you see it's people you know, set yourself up for success, get your time in place, manage that, do what you love, and surround yourself by great people, and then take that action and get clear, paint the picture of life that you want, and go out there and make it happen. I think that's absolutely key.
Yeah, it's so true and so important. Actually, guys, for any of you who don't realise, we're already 35 minutes in, so I want to say a massive thank you to Helen, and to you guys Well done for staying out. Well done for making it out on Monday morning. What I want you to do is to try and find somewhere, again, with something you can hold on to. So we'll stop in about 20, 30 seconds time to do some stretching. Any of you who are doing a longer run, feel free to carry on with your longer run. But any of you who are ready to go into stretching, we just pause about here. So hugely thank you to Helen. So what I want you guys to do to start off with is standing on your right leg, bend your right leg and bring your left leg out in front of you and have your foot fairly relaxed. So send your bum backwards, bend your body forwards, your left leg straight out in front of you, and your foot is relaxed down towards the ground. It doesn't have to touch the ground, just relax down. And you should feel a big pull down your hamstring. Okay, so that's the muscle down the back of your thigh. Okay. And that for me is one that is really, really tight. I should do more stretching than I do. And also for especially any of you who are new, if you've got any aches and pains, just drop me a note and I'll steer you in the right direction of what you should do to help those niggles before they become a problem. And then take that toe up towards the sky. So you've still got your left leg straight, your right leg's bent, your body's bent over, and the stretch should travel down into your calf muscle, which is in the bottom half of your leg, and bring your knee forward if you're not feeling the stretch. If you feel the stretch, just leave it there. And what I want you to do is just turn your ankle ever so slowly. So these stretches we hold, by the way, sorry, I should have said that. Twist your left ankle, left and right, super, super slowly. You've got two muscles that run down the back of your calf, and hold it wherever that's tightest, because that's the muscle that's tightest, okay? Okay, so relax yourselves out of there and swap your legs over. So now you're standing on your left leg, your right leg's out in front of you. Relax down to the ground, bum backwards. If you don't feel the stretch down the back of your leg, bring your body forward more, okay? So your body's folding over, stretching down the back of your hamstring, the muscles down the back of your leg. And then again, just lift that toe up towards your sky. It should travel down to the calf. And what I want you guys to notice, particularly anyone who's new, is just that tiny movement. It changes entirely where the stretch goes. Everything in your body's connected. So whenever you've got pain, it's rarely the place that's causing the pain. It's just we often need to tweak something else in your body. Okay, so you should feel that down your calf. Again, twist that ankle left and right to get the stretch, and then hold it where you feel it pulling most. And with all of these, only go to where it pulls, not to pain, okay? We're just trying to loosen the muscles off and help them recover. I don't want you tearing anything. Okay, bring yourselves up from there. And this is where I want you to hold on to something. So what I want you to do is to stand on your left leg, hold on with your left hand, and then bring your right foot up to your bum. Hold on to that with your right hand. Okay, so you're standing on your left leg, your right foot's up at your bum, and you should feel a big old stretch down the front of your leg, down your quad muscles, okay? And you should never feel pain in your lower back. If you're getting any pain from this in your lower back, tuck your bum under a bit more, okay? And if you do experience lower back pain, it's often a signal that your quad muscles, your hamstrings are just too tight. And so you could do with a bit of TLC there and a bit of lower ab strengthening. Okay, relax yourselves out there, swap your legs over. So standing on your right leg, bring your left foot up to your left bum cheek. And again, feeling a stretch down the front of your leg, down your quad muscles at the front. And well done all of you for getting out of bed, coming out. And hopefully that's been helpful for you. Final one I want you guys to do is standing with your feet over hip width apart and bend your left leg. So your right leg straight, feet pointed forward, sorry. And bend your left leg and you should feel a stretch down the inside of your right thigh. If you don't, pivot your hips a little bit and play around with where they're twisted, okay? And then come back to the middle and over to the other side. Again, you should feel it down the inside of your left leg. There's another stretch that I suggest you guys do, but it's a bit too complicated to explain over the phone. It's doing pigeon stretch, which will help with your hip recovery and help you look after your hips. And it's also one I can't do with my jippy broken hip. But for now, guys, I want to say a huge thank you to Helen. Thanks so much for joining us. Very, very useful and great way to start the week. And for the rest of you guys, have a very, very wonderful week, and look forward to having you with us again. All right,
Bye,
take care. Yeah, thank you so much,
Thanks,
Helen.
Christy. Take care.
You're welcome. All right,
Bye, guys. Have a great week.
bye.